a possible update with the whole Rust thing. Alec Baldwin says he didn't pull the trigger on the gun that killed a cinematographer on the set of the movie Rust. He made this claim during seems to be a long interview with George Stephanopoulos. That is going to air. That aired last night as you hear this. And, of course, this horrible incident happened October 21st. Here's a clip from the sort of sizzle commercial, and this is what Alec has to say.
It wasn't in the script for the trigger to be pulled.
Well, the trigger wasn't pulled. I didn't pull the trigger.
So you never pulled the trigger?
No. I would never point a gun at anyone and pull a trigger at them, never.
What did you think happened? How did a real bullet get on that set?
I have no idea. Someone put a live bullet in a gun, a bullet that wasn't even supposed to be on the property.
So
music is intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, here's my question. This is a Garrigus question, I suppose. But is this not an active investigation? How is he giving like hour-long interviews or whatever this is?
Garrigus hates this. He always tells, don't do it. It can only hurt, can never help. Because
I understand the passion of Alec finally saying screw it and getting out on the side of the road and just, that's in the moment. But this was a set up interview. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a premeditated interview.
Well, so, you go, well, I never pointed a gun at somebody or at her, but then how'd she get a bullet in the chest if you didn't point a gun? Now, the only thing I can think of is if you're bringing a gun down or moving a gun, at some point it's pointed at someone without physically being pointed.
Trained on someone.
Yes, trained. If I just brought it down, well, at some point in the trajectory, it would be facing the person. So maybe that's what he's talking about.
Right.
All bets seem to be off because the gun is some sort of vintage gun.
Single action.
And there's could misfire. You wonder if the hammer was pulled back on it.
Right.
So because the gun is authentic and from 1862 or something, then the mechanisms could be worn out, misfire, whatever. Right. So he's kind of got the plausibility. Yeah. Moving the gun tonight. Right. Moving the gun around and the gun malfunctioning. I don't know. Put the bullet in the chamber, whoever did that. I never want to get on this train where they kind of go, it's the actor's job to always check and, they kind of do that with there's a lot of that in life where they go, oh, the car tire blew out and
you should check your tire pressure before you leave.
I always check my tire. And then everyone makes themselves a de facto hero. And then George Clooney's got to go, I've never got a gun and never check. I always check the chamber. I open it. It's like, all right, de facto hero. Mm-hmm. But I bet you I could talk to people who are on a set with you from out of sight. Good.
I love that movie. That's a good one. J-Lo.
96 or whatever it was. And I'll bet you I could find a gun wrangler said I handed him a gun and he fucking set it down, took a sip of coffee and walked up. I'm sure the reality is nobody, whether it's the car pressure, the tire pressure, or they check the chamber, there's probably a couple of guys. The problem with the way the news works is you interview other celebrities or other gun whatevers, and they go, I would never. Yeah. You always check. You never hand a gun to, you never. And they're sort of saying, I'm wildly responsible and this person is reckless. No one ever gets interviewed and goes, yeah, I've been on a few sets where they kind of, I get it. Like we've all been there, long days, shit happens.
There's no upside to saying that.
Right.
It is weird. A little off color, by the way. We've discussed in a number of other cases that there are winners to tragedies. I wonder if somewhere, wherever he resides these days, the biosphere, wherever, biodome or otherwise, Stephen Baldwin go like, oh, who's the asshole?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that happened.
I hope not.
In the biodome.
And with Pauly.
Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore, that's right.
Yeah.
Dynamite. That
Dynamite
picture.
film.
Talk about something that holds
Hasn't
up.
aged a second, yeah.
It is weird, though, in this way. How's a live bullet in that gun? And I always think about, I think I'm fascinated by the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I'll watch anytime, anywhere I find it on. It's pastoral sort of pacing and everything else. I just love the picture, but I'm amazed that it's successful or popular across society, it seems. Because it's such a particular message for me that it's all about, like, L.A. is filled with bona fide, genuine flakes, but deeply competent. When it's time to do your gig, like, yeah, people are flaky and like, well, Hollyweird. Everybody who does a job.
That's funny. Did you make that one up? Can I use that?
Hollyweird, because you know why? Because it's so close to Hollywood. But people here
God.
are weird.
Yeah, I
like,
got you.
That's
I got one La La Land instead of Los Angeles.
I got another one for Blandinos. Wait, no, but yeah, I always think about that. So I always think that that's kind of the message of the picture, that in fact the villains are the hippies who have this artificial worldview about peace and love and creativity, but sameness is what plagues them. But in fact, the unique individuals that comprise Hollywood and the different roles within it, they win out because they're competent, even if it's a dumb Western shoot 'em up black and white TV show. So. Yeah, specifically, you've been around people with explosives and stuff like that. They're hardo people. Like they don't jag around at all. How did this person sneak through the cracks of like, yeah, that's my job is ammo. I do the fake gun stuff.
It was her first job.
Oh, is that right?
Is the armorer.
Nepotism. Something
father's
we
a
all
big
hate.
Is that really what it is? It's somebody's like, I'm a junior.
I think her dad was a famous.
very
That's
famous
a big
armorer.
guy. And
You're kidding. That's really what it boils down. Ugh.
I mean, those are just the facts. I mean, this was her first job. She has a very famous armorer dad. And that's like when you said, like, it's every actor's job. There are people whose only job is to check the gun. That is your one job. That's not the actor's only job.
yeah, I don't want to sound like a right-wing douchebag here, but there is an element of when you're doing a film like this, you have to have a balance of males and females too, black, white. Like you need the new world order in Hollywood is you can't just have a bunch of dudes, white dudes like doing shit. You need the balance. You got to go, we have this many folk and that many of that group folk. She was a female. Maybe there's a little, we can check that box. Like we can get a little more diversity and a little more balance. Maybe there was a 45-year-old white dude, but that didn't get him the box check. So maybe there's an element of little more diversity here, but maybe a little less skill, a little less experience.
I know nothing
skilled.
about any armor. I would love to think that there are skilled female armorers.
Yeah, but not 24-year-olds.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is look, first off, we have a vice president that's incompetent because we need to hire a chick who's black, and we got one, but she's not going to be good if something happens to Joe. Like I'm saying, at a certain point, there's lives in the balance. What I'm saying is there are females who might be good and maybe not as many as males. And if you're trying to balance your ledger, if it's a world of we need X amount of females or X amount of this group or that group, you're going to start making decisions, Well,
I'm sure this will come out in the trial because those are the kind of questions that I imagine will be pondered.
Yeah, she was clearly unqualified to do it. The question is, why did they hire her to do it?
Yeah.
We got to speak in the vice presidents. We got the delicious penne alla pence, the most vanilla, blandest pasta of all the time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's real good.
Penne pence.
Yeah. Let's move on to another trial. Abel Osundairo. He took the stand in Jussie Smollett's bogus hate crime trial on Wednesday. And according to the Chicago Sun-Times, Osundairo testified that the Empire Star asked him to fake beat him up and to use an anti-gay slur and to say MAGA during the staged homophobic and racist attack.
This is one of the jilted lovers?
Exactly right. Osundairo said he agreed to it because he felt indebted to Smollett and believed he could help further his acting career. So Osundairo said Smollett gave him and his brother $100 for supplies and told them they would stage a fight, tie a noose around his neck, pour gas on him. 2 days before the January 2019 incident, Osundairo said the trio rehearsed the attack. The brother, Alabinjo Osundairo, is also expected to take the stand. He's been charged with disorderly conduct for allegedly lying about the hate crime. And earlier Wednesday, 2 Chicago PD detectives testified that Smollett initially identified one of his attackers as white.
I talked to Garrigus about this.
Ooh, spill it.
Well, he brought up an interesting point. Now, somebody says, although it doesn't always account for everything, but that's a point. Which is you go, I don't get it. Just cop a plea. Right. Like, so if you're Jussie Smollett, come on. You're clearly guilty. Mm-hmm. Just cut a deal and get on with your life. Like, why not cut a deal? And Mark said, and look no further than the Rittenhouse trial, where we were going, come on, he's carrying a gun across state lines. He's got no business over there. And
two of the three weren't armed.
He's not. He's like, come on, man. Let's just cut a deal. But when your lawyer says don't cut a deal or doesn't want to cut a deal, now sometimes you can't cut a deal, but usually if you don't want to, Mark said, oftentimes the lawyers know a lot more than what we know. So in the Rittenhouse case, we all thought we knew everything. We didn't know what his lawyers knew, and his lawyer's like, no, he's not doing 6 years and cutting a deal. We have a bunch of shit that we know. We know he didn't bring the gun across state lines or that it was long enough or whatever it is. They had information. So he said, be careful when you hear the news version because you'll think they should cut a deal. But the person who knows the most about the case is the attorney. And if the attorney's not cutting a deal,
there's a reason.
Then he has information. Now, doesn't always mean there's an option to cut a deal, so you definitely have that caveat. And I have no fucking idea how this one's ever going to work out, but he did say, be careful when you think you have all the information. You have what the news gave you, but the lawyer has all of the information.
Right. But don't you think that it should be a law that if you have some like secret, special 11th hour information, the public gets to know? I got to know.
Well, it's all out in discovery.
Yeah.
So the other attorney or the prosecutor knows.
Well, as a former prosecutor, you know this.
And Rear Admiral.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the Beatles 3-part doc.
Decent name for a gay bar, right? The Rear Admiral. Like you have it like down at the bay, put it down at the wharf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My favorite one in Chicago was there's a string of gay bars right around the corner from me, and the best one was there were splashier names and bigger presentations on the exterior, but the best one was the loading zone, and then the sign underneath was all deliveries in the rear. I thought that was great. I thought that was very funny.
Liquor in the front, poker in the rear. Hey, by the way, if you want to tweet us your Blandino's menu items, you can hashtag.
Hey, here's good news. You can't do any worse than we did.
Also, there's a spectacularly clever bar in West Hollywood called The Gym. Got to tell your boyfriend, look, I'm going to the gym.
Oh, it's good.
I'll take a lie detector test. I went to the gym. So the Beatles 3-part doc, Get Back on Disney Plus.
Spelled with an I?
Yeah,
I think that's a tell.
No, you're right. It wasn't super easy to get made. Director Peter Jackson tells NME that execs wanted to remove all explicit language and scenes of the Beatles smoking cigarettes.
Really?
And he had to fight. The 3-part doc, which premiered last week, includes a disclaimer at the top of each episode that says this footage contains explicit language, mature themes, and smoking.
What is that on again? Disney Plus?
Disney Plus.
I gotta write that down.
You should definitely watch this. I suspect you'll be captivated.
Have you seen the whole thing?
I've only watched the first episode, but it is the immediate thing. We just talked about it on Thursday with Kevin Hench on -3, and he is also captivated by it. The first thing that'll hit you is as they go to the footage that they got in 1968, is it, or 1969, when they're doing this, you're like, oh, this is it? It looks timeless.
Right.
It's like, what? This is not what? This is 50-something years ago? This looks marvelous. And so right out of the gate, but it's very sort of quiet and small, and it's you'll love everything about.
I'll tell you what I love.
Yoko Ono sitting right next to them while they're making these famous songs. And she couldn't give a crap. It's as though it's not even happening. It would be, for a vain guy like me, it's so disconcerting to watch. Like, I can't do this while she just sits there and doesn't pay any attention and doesn't laugh once or doesn't seem to enjoy anything we're doing here. It would make me crazy.
What would be more off-putting as an artist, Dave? Yoko sitting there just staring at her lap while you guys are creating history, or me going on a world-class signature jag and catching a glimpse of Dawson taking a hit off of a flask in the middle of my jag. As an artist, Dave, I asked you as an artist.
There are no good answers. There are no winners. That's a disgrace to do that.
How was Blandino's joke from you about
And by the way,
calzones?
bitten by your own snake. Adam Carolla's gotten into some jags that are hysterical in a vacuum, and you want to laugh, but also it's like, hey, Ace, there are 4.5 minutes left in the game here, and it's tied here. Let's save that one for.
Well, I'm down to another Blandino's
Let's
offer.
get that one in it. Let's get that one. This one's going to be over about 20, 30 minutes.
At Blandino's, all you can eat is different. We put your food on a plate, and that's all you can eat.
It still doesn't make the food bland, though. I feel like I'm running this comedically a lot.
I'm feeling pretty chuffed right now.
No, Gina, you were down with
I
the plan.
understood the assignment. I'm so glad you brought up Yoko. This is from how many years ago? If we've seen it before, we've got to revisit. Do you know what I'm going to play?
No.
Chuck Berry?
No.
That was awesome.
This one is Yoko Ono doing, and I should tell you in advance because you'll never figure it out on your own, Katy Perry's Firework
Oh, no.
at like an art exhibit, and it is harrowing.
Can I say why?
Yes.
Wait, Gina, you know this is a mashup that they did online, right?
No. Oh, it's not real?
No, it's not real.
God damn it.
Yeah,
Fake
sorry.
news. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me now, by the way.
I will spare you this by saying
We should still
I'm
watch it.
excited about this footage and reclaiming it and restoring it and all that kind of stuff because all this stuff starts at the upper ends. It trickles down to porn. So, folks who are fans of the 70s Harry Bush, but not a big fan of the big pixels and the blown out stuff and
High
the bad
def.
lighting, you can look forward to some high def Bush.
I've been watching a
4K.
lot of Boogie Nights lately, by the way. Boy, talk about something that holds up and is dynamite. But yes,
American.
You, Ace, as somebody who enjoys where greatness, the journey to greatness for people who have made it and have established themselves as iconic. I mean, mid-20s Beatles sitting there chopping it up like, how about this? Now switch it. Now mates, we'll go switch to you're just gonna eat up how small it all is. Them just sitting
I'm gonna watch
in
it.
a little circle.
And by the way, speaking of talent, you bringing the accents today, Shaq. You got the Liverpool accent. You got the
Italian.
Blandino's host. I mean,
I'm from Liverpool.
Oh, boy.
Hey,
Deepak Chopra?
get back.
A lot of Indian food there.
Hey, Jude. Hey, now listen. We were talking.
Oh, we did Southern too.
Hench and I were talking about this. Are the Beatles? Because people, of course, have to express cynicism for anything. So it's like, man, Beatles are overrated. I contend that the Beatles are the greatest dynasty of the last century. In sports, obviously, and transcending that. James Bond has endured, but this is 55 years ago that the Beatles break. Has anyone trumped them since then? Like, the Beatles still hold up as the gold standard of music. Like, the 60s Packers were replaced by the 70s Steelers, who were replaced by the 80s Niners, and so on. The Muhammad Ali. Like, this is the dynasty of the last 100 years.
I agree. I got to do a spot. Okay. So, Gina, bring it home.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, crap.
Gina. That was the news with Gina Grad.
All right. Last but not least, there's Trico. Over a century ago, Trico is the first to make wiper blades. They've been one step ahead of Mother Nature ever since. Trico engineers study your specific driving conditions, so you're ready for anything when you're out there and it's winter time and it's starting to rain, starting to snow, depending on what part of the country you're in. You need good blades, man. It's dangerous if you don't, especially at night. Whatever the weather, Trico wipers maintain maximum windshield contact no matter what your driving habits are. You'll always find the right wiper blade for your vehicle. Trico, the future of wipers since 1917. And to find a store near you and see the latest offers, you visit TricoCatsandDogs.com. That is TricoCatsandDogs.com. I'm going to be at the Bray Improv doing some live shows. We're going to tape those. TJ Miller, Patrick Warburton's going to join me as well. We're all going to Portland. Going to go to Helium. We'll do a stand-up show there. We'll do some podcasts in there. That'll be December 22nd, 23rd. Shaq, -3, the podcast, and extra points with Cousin Sal as well. Shoot him a tweet at Damashek, Instagram at Damashek as well. Well, Casey, I don't have to plug because he's a covert organization.
Watch over your shoulder.
He'll find you.
Perfect guess.
He'll find you. But until next time, it's Adam Kroll for Casey and Damashek and Gina and Bald. Say it. Mahalo.
Of all the food you ever eat, this is some.
Blandino's, our sauce is redder than the competition.
All right. I still don't feel like we're capturing the bland part of the.
Blandino's, unscrew a good line and enjoy.
All right.
There we
Okay.
Inspired by the star quarterback of the New England Patriots, Mac Jones, Roni and cheese.